A regular meeting of the Delta County Commissioners is being held this date pursuant to the following call. In a letter to the Commissioners dated March 12, 2026, and reading as follows, gotta slow down. The honorable members of the Delta County Board of Commissioners, dear Commissioners, a regular meeting of the Delta County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Tuesday, March 17, 2026 at 5:15 p.m. in the boardroom of the Delta County Service Center. Sincerely yours, Nancy Prozraki, Delta County Clerk. Please rise for a word of prayer. Lord, as we begin this meeting, we thank you for our many blessings. We ask for your guidance to help our commissioners make decisions in the best interests of the citizens they serve. And Lord, we pray for the safety of our military men and women and first responders. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Commissioner Milner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Van Genhoven? And Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
Here. Sorry.
Welcome, everyone. We'll get going here on number 5. We need the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, County Board minutes of 3/3/26.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes from 3/3/26.
Support. All in favor?
Wait, discussion,
Oh.
please. Yep, so in reviewing the minutes, where it says presentation of written communications and received and forwarded, and then reports of standing statutory and special committees and others, we actually moved and supported and voted on putting the communications received and forwarded on file, but we never did anything with the reports of standing statutory, special committees, and others. We just moved past that. So I'd just like that corrected in the minutes, and then we'll have to go back at the next meeting to approve those reports.
I'll amend my second.
I'll amend my motion. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Approval of the agenda.
I'd move that we approve the agenda for this evening with the addition of the 3 items in our packet. The first item would be number 12, and that would be a letter of support for the city of Escanaba. Item 13 would be the MIDC for fiscal year 27. And item 14 would be the state of emergency declaration.
I will support that with just a note that I did request from the administrator whether or not these items could wait, whether they were pressing or so forth. And apparently there's grant submissions due by March 27th before our next meeting. So that's why these need to be done tonight.
Can I get a motion?
I made it. Yep.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I actually had supported it.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
got it. I
Yeah.
got
Oh,
it.
thank you. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Written, presentation of written communication received forward, there was none. Number 8, reports of standing statutory special committees and others. There was none. Number 9, public comment on agenda items. Public comment on agenda items.
And no remote.
And I don't see none, so we will move on to committee reports. Administration report.
Thank you. The opioid task force was formed as a way to help disperse opioid settlement funds into the community. This task force accepts grant applications and reviews them as an advisory board to the county board for approval of projects. The task force has guidelines that must be followed for the funds that are monitored by the Attorney General's office for compliance. There are 2 types of grants that the task force will accept. Annually, they receive applications for large grants for projects up to $30,000. The time frame of these grants run with the county's fiscal year, so they begin October 1st and they run through September 30th. The mini grants are funds up to $3,000 that can be applied for at any time throughout the year. Each application is reviewed by the task force with recommendations of approval or denial to the county board. The task force also is responsible for using opioid funds to disperse information into the community. At the last task force meeting, they planned a gathering inviting all UP counties where there's a representative from the Michigan Association of Counties that is going to be present as a guest speaker and is going to help facilitate other counties in forming their task force, dispersing their funds, and much more. This is going to take place on May 1st, and if there are any counties who'd like more information, they can contact our county administration on how to RSVP or attend that. There's going to be no charge for that to those counties that are in attendance. The Secure Rural Schools Act, Delta County received notification that the Secure Rural Schools Act was reauthorized on December 18th of 2025. As a result, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Forest Service will process an additional payment to the state, and the additional SRS payment for Delta County totals $108,397.17, which represents the county's portion for the additional fiscal year 24 payment received from the Department of Agriculture. Our fiscal year 24 single audit has now been completed and has been filed. The auditors are scheduled to begin the fiscal year 25 audit on April 13th of this year. During this time, they're also then going to be completing the fiscal year 24 PFC audit for the airport. So then we will be caught up with all of our audits here for the county. House Bill 5452 was introduced to remove the December 31st, 2026 sunset deadline on court funding authority. This legislation proposes that counties will not be forced to backfill tens of millions of dollars in necessary court funding and allows for the collection of court costs to follow without any further legislation. So we'll keep an eye on that for court funding. And a new funding opportunity, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has released a competitive grant opportunity for local nonprofits, private and public entities, and local health departments to support use prevention services for youth. It's funded through the Michigan Opioid Healing and Recovery Fund, and they are funding up to 10 awards ranging from $100,000 to $375,000 per grantee. This funding would be used to support community-based programs that help delay the start of alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use in children. And I'd also, at the end, it's not on my written report, but I'd just like to give a huge thanks to community agencies, members, workers, City of Escanaba, City of Gladstone, Delta County Road Commission. Over the past couple days, their response to our snow event that we've had has been phenomenal. They've been working around the clock to make sure that our emergency personnel are prepared and able to respond. So I'd just like to give a big thanks to everybody for a huge coordinated effort, and our emergency management coordinator, Paul Geyer. So thank you.
I would make a motion to place the administrator's report on file.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 2, finance minutes of 3/5/26.
So on March 5th, 2026, Commissioner Williams and myself had a finance committee meeting. One of our old business items was to continue to discuss the appropriations and which ones we had contracts for, which ones we have not. There are still some of those that are coming in. We will continue putting those together, and once we have those together and can review them, that will be one of those that will give us a better understanding, make a recommendation prior to next year's budget to the board. One of the other items we notice is that we actually only need one resolution in our budget process for like fiscal year 27, where previously we had a bunch of different ones. We actually only need one with very specific language. So that will be an item that will be brought forward as we move into the budget. The second one is actually going through the financial policies. So one of the items we're actually going to put together is an actual manual. The next time the finance committee gets together, we'll actually go through and start to review those with an end goal of having those to be able to be presented to the whole board. And then also so that they're in place for the fiscal year, prior to the fiscal year 25 audit. So those are the big ones. We did find at times where other items, finance-wise, were discussed and voted on at the board, and it might just be a matter of meeting minutes attached to this is what it is. It's not actually a policy other than this is the way the board wanted to go. So there'll be clear, it will be clear as far as items like that, also as far as appropriations go in the guidelines for those, so. Is there anything else?
that's it.
No, okay, that'd be all.
Okay. Can I get a motion to put it on file?
So moved?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 3, personnel minutes of 3/6/26.
So after a long hiatus, Commissioner Johnson and I met to bring us up to date on a few items with the Personnel Committee. Number 1, under new business, you'll see as in the meeting minutes as under unfinished business, number 1 this evening, so we'll move past that. Number 2, we are going to be working with our clerk Pisraki to look at options for staffing her office. It's been a long need, and so we're going to look to see how we can make that happen for fiscal year '27. And then our old business, we discussed our county personnel policies, much like the Finance Committee. We are reviewing our policies to be put forward into a manual for approval at the full board level. And that's all we have.
I'd move that we place the personnel minutes from 6th March 26 on file.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 4, departmental updates. No departmental?
Speak.
Paul?
Sorry, I'll wait till the declaration part.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we'll move on to unfinished business. Number 1, salary employee benefit time. Their old business. Emily, did you want to talk on that one?
Sure, I can start. This is coming, stemming from last board meeting, the board decision to forego any comp time associated with non-union, non-elect salaried positions. This was brought back to personnel for the remedy to the 6 positions that we currently have that this affected. I'll just note, this is not a long-term solution. This is an immediate solution for these 6 employees, but the long-term solution will be coming with the new personnel and finance policies that we will be issuing in the employment manual, which will outline policy and procedure moving forward for those positions. So you'll see from the board packet agenda item request, the recommendation was made to convert the employee comp time into vacation time at the same rate it was allocated, with the expectation of expensing it as benefit time throughout their anniversary year. This affects the emergency manager position, veterans service director position, maintenance director, and the undersheriff. So that was one recommendation made by the Personnel Committee. The second recommendation was made to convert the 80 hours of comp time that was given to the IT director into an after-hours stipend to be added to the IT director's salary in the same amount. And then the third and final recommendation was made for the board secretary to utilize comp time that's currently accumulated on the books throughout the next multiple 3 to 5 years to get that off the books for that position.
You get a motion to accept?
Do we need to make 3 separate, or are we okay with all on one?
I would like 3 separate motions if the
Okay.
board is okay with that.
Sure. So we will do the first one.
Make a motion to convert the employee comp time into vacation time at the same rate it was allocated.
For emergency manager.
Oh, well, for emergency manager, veteran service director, maintenance director, and undersheriff.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. The second request.
I'd move that we take the second recommendation, which was made to convert 80 hours of comp time given to the IT director into after-hour stipend to be added to the IT director's salary throughout his anniversary year.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, that one I just have a question on, and I just want to verify that this is acceptable for Fair Labor Standards Act, since he is a salaried employee and we are paying additional wage.
Yes, it is by law, you can do that for salaried employees. It's just on an employer basis if they want to or not. And I just want to mention, and I didn't say it before, this particular position at the end of every year cashes out the hours, was allowed to cash out the hours. So this would be no financial difference on the county's budget if we just incorporate it in. Same like with the vacation time, we're just converting it one way to the other so that we're in line with the Fair Labor Union.
Okay. Fair Labor
Or
Standards Act, right?
standards,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. The third and final recommendation was made for the board secretary to utilize comp time that is currently accumulated throughout the next multiple 3 to 5 years at the schedule determined by the board secretary and the administrator that best suits the position and the office while distributing HR duties and from the board secretary position to the payroll clerk due to new PEO that the county will put in place.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to just make that a motion?
Yeah.
I'll support it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, let's see here. We go on to new business. Payment of bills.
I've examined all claims presented and recommend payment of the following, and that the county clerk be directed to issue orders on the county treasurer to the claimants for the amounts allowed. We have a grand total of bills of $437,691.15, and commissioner expenses of $1,236.21.
I would move that we pay our bills.
Support.
Okay, roll call?
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Vankenhoven,
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen,
Yes.
and Commissioner Drowning.
Yes. Okay, bills are paid. We will move on to number 2. And this is a letter of support for Ford River Township, new pumper truck. And Steve Nelson, I believe he is the supervisor that requested this.
I would make a motion that we, pardon me?
She was asking about the claim sheet, but we'll sign that at a different,
Okay.
after today.
Okay. Just got very confused
Sorry.
there. Sorry about that. I would make a motion to support Ford River Township and send them a letter of support for the discretionary funding through the U.S. Senator's office.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 3, letter of support for Baldwin Township Perkins Park improvements. This was requested by Lisa Carlson. And this is a DNR grant application regarding improvements to Perkins Park.
Move to approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 4, a letter of support for Gladstone North Shore Development.
Move to approve.
And support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 5, resolution authorizing the MDNRTF grant, PTP Campground Bathhouse.
I'm really excited about this one.
You'll see in the board packet agenda item request, this is coming from our parks manager, Heather Leduc. She actually couldn't be here tonight. She's under the weather, so she apologizes for that. She would have liked to be here to present to the board on this. However, she did present this to the Parks Commission last week, I believe was the meeting, on Thursday. She is applying for trust fund, DNR trust fund grant money for a new bathhouse at Pioneer Trail Park. And so you'll see that in her application. As part of the application process, we do need a resolution from the board attached to it, and you'll see a draft of that in your packet as well, as the proposed plans for the bathhouse.
And I think it's important to note that the 25% financial obligation would be funded through the parks fund balance, not the county's general fund balance, but through the parks.
That's correct, and we also can use in-kind as a part of that, so we will be doing that. A lot of the in-kind will be coming from our own parks employees and maintenance employees that will be
Perfect.
putting in time and effort into the bathhouse, which then we can contribute that as part of our match, the 25% match, so that will be helpful as well.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question? Because I'm directionally challenged, when it says the south end of the park, where is that?
That's down toward, you know where they converted the tent camping into RV camping?
Yes.
That's toward the south.
Got it,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's to cover there's only 6, I think it's 6 showers right now for 105 campers, which is,
Yeah,
whew,
okay,
yeah.
yep, thank you.
Not much.
Did we need to read the resolution? or
Yeah,
just-
we do have to read the
Yes,
resolution
please.
out loud.
And then we'll need a roll call vote on it.
Yes.
Just who wants to do that?
Go ahead, Chris. Commissioner Williams.
Whereas the Delta County, whereas Delta County supports the submission of an application titled Pioneer Trail Park Campground Bathhouse Development to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Grant for development of a new ADA-compliant bathhouse facility at Pioneer Trail Park Campground, including 6-foot walkways, parking, and accessible restroom and shower facilities, including family room and laundry corridor in south end at Pioneer Trail Park located at 6822 US 2 Highway 41 and 35 in Gladstone, Michigan 49837. And whereas the proposed application is supported by the community's 5-year approved Parks and Recreation Plan, and whereas the Delta County Board of Commissioners is hereby making a financial commitment to the project in the amount of $134,000 matching funds in cash and/or force account, and now therefore be it resolved, the Delta County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes submission of a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application for $400,000, and further resolves to make available its financial obligation amount of $134,000, 25%, of a total $534,000 project cost during the 27-28 fiscal year. I don't need to read the A's and E's. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would move that we adopt the resolution as just read.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? All,
Roll call.
roll call.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Genhoven?
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Melner?
Yes.
And Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, number 7, FOIA appeal number 26.
Six.
Oh,
That,
whoop.
6.
oh, I missed one,
Yeah.
sorry.
6.
I had my iPad over the top of it. Number 6 is L. Matson transfer, request to fill assistant prosecuting attorney position.
So Lauren Matson is our current assistant prosecutor. She was just promoted to our chief assistant prosecutor. That leaves our assistant prosecutor position open. We're just requesting to fill that position.
Move to approve.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Now, number 7, FOIA appeal, number 26-45.
I would make a motion to uphold the denial.
Support.
Well, accept and uphold, sorry, we're acknowledging.
uphold, yeah.
Acknowledge and uphold.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 8, FOIA appeal number 26-56.
I would make a motion to acknowledge and uphold the denial.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 9, FOIA appeal number 26-57.
Again, I would make a motion to acknowledge and uphold the denial.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 10, FOIA appeal number 26-64.
I would make a motion to acknowledge and uphold the denial.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 11, Airport Advisory Board, amended bylaws.
I would like to suggest that we table this until the next board meeting, if it's not, it's not pressing, because as I read through the bylaws and I read through the original resolution, there's more than just one conflict what's the word I'm looking for?
Inconsistencies.
Inconsistency, thank you. There's more than one inconsistency, and so I feel like right now what we're doing is sort of cherry picking the one inconsistency out of it and fixing that, but not fixing the other inconsistencies. And before you ask me what those inconsistencies were, I'll let you know.
I'm not, no,
Okay.
I'm not. What I'm asking is, do you want to table it or do you want to send it back to Airport Advisory?
Well, what I was planning to do is just send the board chair and the administrator, the airport administrator or airport manager, my comments or concerns and sort of pointing out what those inconsistencies are. And one big one for me is in the resolution that formed the Airport Advisory Board, it specifically talks about the 7 positions, and 5 of which are from one from each individual district. And that's in the resolution, but that's not actually in the bylaws. And so in the bylaws, it just says 7 positions. And so it's not clear. And there's other things like that, which aren't consistent. And so I just felt if we're going to fix it, let's just fix all of them. There's about 5, I think, that I came across. So I would just like to be able to send it to the chair and of the airport board and the airport manager for them to review it before we take action on it.
Yeah, just so you're aware, there was a subcommittee for our bylaws. It was Brad Reed and Will Carnes, so they should probably be included in that email as well, since they were the ones who did the work.
I can send it to the whole board then. I'll just do that. I'll send it to the whole board and to the airport manager, and then just point out what those inconsistencies are.
Yeah, but then we would have to go back to the Airport Advisory Board and review it again so that we can make the recommendation. So do you want to table it or do you want to send it back to Airport?
I would send it.
I guess we could send it back to the airport board because you're probably going to have to modify the bylaws so that they're consistent with that resolution. Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
so.
we tabled it. This is what we'd be tabling, not.
Yeah,
It should
yeah,
be one
good
thing,
point, good
correct.
point. So I would make a motion that we send the comments back to the advisory board and the airport manager for further review.
Support.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 12, City of Escanaba, letter of support.
I received an email from the city manager, Jim McNeil. He is applying for congressional funding for the city of Escanaba with 3 different projects. So you'll see in your board packet, there are 3 different letters of support that he is requesting from the county. The first one that I'll comment on is the bridge replacement. They are looking to request funding to undergo the bridge that connects Arnson Island with Ludington Park. And so there's a request for that. There's also a request for an energy project within the city. So there's a separate letter regarding that. And then there's also a request for, let me pull it up here. The water treatment plant filter system replacement. And I know these were last-minute additions to the agenda. He needs to submit them before the end of the month with his packet of information for the grant. So please take your time in reading through each of those letters before motions are made. And if we could get 3 different motions on each letter, that would be helpful as well. Thank you.
Make a motion to write a letter of support for the water treatment plant filter system replacement.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
And I'll make a motion for a letter of support to the Arnson Island Bridge replacement project.
And I'll also support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And finally, I'll make a motion for a letter of support to the Escanaba Energy Resiliency and Grid Security Project.
And I'll support.
Any discussion?
Yes. For number 3, Administrator, do you know where this project would be located? Anything like that? We weren't given any specific things on this, were we?
Let me check.
I mean, it
know-
just says that they're looking for using innovative technologies such as RICE units,
Those
what is
are
it?
natural gas burners, yeah.
I know what they are. Aeroderivative turbines or fuel cells. I mean, those are big things. Did he provide any information on where this would be located?
I don't have that information.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Any
would,
other discussion?
yeah, that's a concern. For some reason, I can't read the documents are
Oh.
missing from my,
Here's the,
they just won't come in anymore.
25 megawatts.
Yeah.
That's their plan. Here that's the
I mean, we're-
recommendation that there isn't engineering with it yet, as far as location or what type of unit.
I mean, if they're requesting 25 million federal request, I would hope to see something that would show what it is. Otherwise, we're blindly supporting something that we don't have any information on.
Yeah, so what are we actually supporting here? Whoops, I'm reading it right now. So we're supporting a letter of support for them to, this project represents a transformative investment in long-term energy security, so they're going out for a grant. Yeah, it just, I'm concerned too that we have nothing on this. I don't like any of these things, but, okay, thank you. I don't, it's a big thing to like add at the last minute here, so.
I mean, I could see the bridge. We all know the Arnson Island Bridge. We all
Yeah.
know it needs to be
Does-
repaired. That's, something, we know about water filtration. We know where the water plant is,
Yeah.
things like that. But this is, I'm just going to read over it. Just please give me a moment.
Okay,
So I guess I'd look at it, and I understand the concerns that have been brought up. We don't have the details where they were looking at, any of those items. I guess I look at it, as this is that initial exploratory part to even see if that's something that is even being supported, excuse me, from that level, from our federal legislatures. So if there isn't, they're not gonna necessarily do engineering blueprints, come up with the exact areas and stuff, they're not gonna invest that kind of money if they're not gonna end up with the discretionary funding from our legislatures. I think that's one of those, this is part of that process where they find out if it's available, if they're willing to work with the city at that point. If they are, then that allows the city to start to move forward for those items, like where they're doing, what type
I
of
see what
units.
you're saying, yeah.
Right, so this is only
So
like
this is
the
sort of like the,
first step.
well, and it's also, does the board support the potential investment and development? Whether, I mean, we don't know where the development is yet, we don't know what the development is, but do we support that development and that expenditure?
I mean, I look at it as, like I said, them asking. This is, us supporting them asking if the federal legislatures were willing to do it.
And it looks like the federals are willing to do it.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Van Genhoven.
Okay.
Commissioner Jensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Melner.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
And Commissioner Van Genhoven.
Oh, I'm not gonna be the lone wolf. Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Got all of them then?
Yes, I
Yes.
believe so.
Okay. We will move, on to number 13, the MIDC FY '27.
I've been working with Attorney Daryl Waters. He is the lead attorney for us right now out of Iron County. Iron County currently has their own public defender's office. Attorney Waters heads that office. He works in collaboration with the Iron County Board of Commissioners. When we lost our lead attorney, I brought forward to the board a memorandum of understanding, and he graciously offered to step in temporarily as our lead attorney for fiscal year '26. And he has taken over, he's done a great job. He is in charge of putting together the administration of the actual attorneys for us. Delta County still is the fiduciary. We still write our own grants. We still process our own payments. And we handle everything on our own. What we are suggesting, I've had meetings with the judges regarding this. I've also had meetings with Attorney Waters and our regional rep through MIDC. What we're suggesting is to actually regionalize with Iron County. Therefore, Delta County would have its own public defender's office. One of the challenges that we have been facing for years is the lack of attorneys that we have access to here in Delta County. A lot of our funding through MIDC and our county appropriation is spent for attorneys outside of the area to come into the area to take on cases that we have conflicts under, or when caseloads are too high and we need to redistribute those cases out. This is a solution to those problems. We've always kind of put a Band-Aid on it and tried to continue on, and we might be spending more money because of it, but we're trying to not overwhelm the dockets of the judges and keep the judicial process going. This would help in that defendants would have direct access locally to their attorney with an office here, a satellite office here in Delta County for people. It also would help the judicial process in the judges and the prosecutor's office having access to those attorneys as well. But the main thing and the main change that would happen is that instead of Delta County being the fiduciary and administering the grant, we would turn that over to Iron County, who have the staff for that. And instead of processing AP through our department here in Delta County Administration, Iron County would do that. What we would do is take our appropriation and give that to Iron County as part of the grant. Iron County Attorney Waters would be in charge of all financial obligations regarding it, all reports to the state through MIDC. Delta County would have access to that. We just wouldn't be the ones actually administering that. And he would be the lead attorney coordinating services for the courts and through the MIDC. So it would be a change administratively for Delta County. But as far as services go, it would help us in meeting deadlines with assigning attorneys to defendants. What we're asking here, through the grant process, we would need approval from the Delta County Board for that type of a regionalization to happen. So you'll see the letter that Attorney Waters wrote up. That's just the language that he's looking for to be able to submit that with the fiscal year 27 grant application before the end of the month.
So a motion to approve or to form the multi-agency collaboration with the County of Iron for fiscal year 2027.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
I just also want to add that Attorney Waters did let me know just this morning that Iron and Dickinson County boards have both approved this as well. So it will be Iron, Dickinson, and Delta County that will be regionalizing.
Would you adjust your motion?
Yeah, we'll amend it to
Okay.
include Dickinson.
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, number 14 is the declaration of state emergency winter storm, March 2026.
We have our emergency manager here to present on this for you.
Good evening, board members. It's been a challenging few days for not only Delta County, but the rest of the UP and northern lower peninsula. We've been addressing the impacts from the storm since the beginning. However, during parts of the storm, the road commission and other agencies had to pull their units back, so to speak, from doing certain activities in the county. And I know, at least I can tell from some social online comments as well as some emails and some voicemails that I've gotten, that people are frustrated about that. We understand that. The road commission is back out there, and all the public works departments. There are schedules in place of some things that they're doing. One of the recent complaints that I just dealt with was concerning some alley plowing, because in many of the cities, the alleys are used for entrance and exits. I know the city of Escanaba is already worked on some of that, and they have a main goal or a push to complete all those alleys at midnight tonight. So, and the reasoning behind that is that there'll be less traffic at that time, and they can really do the work that they need to be doing. Happy to report that Garden is completely back on power. We're down to about 175 outages in Delta County right now. Most of those are located in the Stonington area, as well as the northeast and northwest portions, upper portions of the county. There's currently about 80,000 customers out in the state of Michigan currently. So I'm pretty happy with 175, although I know the residents of Garden I know they're happy their power's back on too, but they've been off for a couple days. Based on some meetings that I've had over the weekend with the State Emergency Operations Center, as well as our own Emergency Operations Center and County Administration, we decided this morning to request that Chairman Malner sign a declaration of a local state of emergency and also another document requesting that a state declaration be done. There were about 7 counties, I think, in the northern lower peninsula that had either were in the process of doing that or had already completed it. There were no other counties in the UP that decided to declare a local state of emergency. They were able to catch up, so to speak. I think we all experienced a historic storm, obviously. I think areas of our county got hit pretty hard with the drifting and the creation of impassable roadways. So we decided to do that. I'm happy to report that during the meeting, I received an email that the governor has signed that declaration. There's been a state declaration that's been done, which opens up the possibility of us receiving some financial assistance depending on the outcomes of the storm. And it also opens up, and I've had phone calls, and I know that the road commission superintendent has also had phone calls from MDOT this afternoon. They're trying to arrange for other equipment from UP regions to come down into Delta County. MDOT needs a state declaration to operate off of primary highways. So in terms of road maintenance. So that state declaration now has been done. Like I said, even before it was signed, MDOT has contacted me and Jody to try to arrange for that within the county. So I know that Jody has put out, or I should say the road commission has put out a notice this afternoon that said that they're back out in full force. Obviously with today's weather, it looked beautiful out. That they were out in full force. Access to Fairport was opened back up. The individual access, though, to people's driveways is an issue that is still present out there, and I know that private contractors are dealing with that. I have had some complaints come in this afternoon that I've forwarded on to the road commission and/or the city of Escanaba or Gladstone. They're working on those as quickly as they can. Any emergent situations we're gonna have to deal with in that sense, and we did have a couple of those just last night. We had to go into the Garden Peninsula via snowmobiles and side-by-sides. We tried to get helicopter support in there for this resident. It just was not available. We were basically turned down by the Coast Guard and MSP Aviations. The conditions were that they just could not fly. But we were able, after about 6 hours, to get that resident out and taken care of, so. With this declaration by the state, now that it's been approved, there will be certain things that both county administration, myself, the road commission, and other entities will have to do some detailing of, I don't want to say the damage. There has been some damaged equipment from this, but we're eligible for possibly recuperation of some overtime that's been involved. The other thing the governor did in this declaration, which is not so important for us at this point because we don't have that concern, but the northern lower peninsula has some propane and diesel fuel issues as far as not from supply, but from availability to bring in additional trucks and whatnot. So the governor issued a state of emergency or an energy declaration as well for fuel oil and propane so that the drivers of those vehicles could go beyond their lawful driving hours, and et cetera, so to solve that. The governor's declaration is in place until April 14th, which means that most likely within the next few days, we'll be back to basically normal, but we will have to submit certain paperwork within a certain period. And there are requirements of what portion of our general fund budget we've spent for the county and/or the road commission or things like that, that make us eligible for that possible financial assistance. So, and I'll keep, or the administrator will keep you up on that, and I've shared the document with the administrator, but she'll be able to share that out to the board as well. So we're still trying to open up secondary roads. I don't want to speak for the road commission, but I do know their situation right now. They've put out that message that says it might be another full day or so before some of those secondary roads are open to the condition that they were prior to the storm. They've done a lot of the primary roads, and some even to one lane perhaps, or a narrowed lane. We just ask people to be as patient as they can be. I know that's tough when you've been snowed in for a few days, but we are working on those individual situations where we know that people have made those requests, so. Is there any other, I suppose you haven't asked any questions yet. Is there any questions yet, as far as what I can help answer?
I was gonna say, I think it's a good idea for us to go forward with this. If, the worst they could say, if there's any kind of support that'll come back to the county, is no. If we don't do it, then the answer is already no, or at least this opens that possibility. The other side is, we know the next couple of days are gonna get warm, to include possibly rain on Friday, which will exasperate what we already have for conditions. So already having this in place going forward, I think, is actually getting ahead of the curve a little bit further.
That was our reasoning this morning when we talked with the state and when we talked together as far as making that decision. The other thing, there are some concerns for the upcoming melt that's gonna happen with all this snow. I know Marquette currently is monitoring an issue with one of their dams that's attached to the Escanaba River. Our river levels right now are fine and within reasons, but if we have a big melt, more than just a couple days, and it gets warmer or extends further on, or we have that rapid warm up, we may have some problems. And I know some other counties are going to have some north of us, Houghton, in that area.
If I may, do you know if the road commission has put anything on their Facebook page or their website regarding a schedule? I know the city of Escanaba put out a schedule, but I was just wondering if Delta County Road Commission had done the same.
I didn't see a schedule in terms of certain areas. I
Okay.
saw them list highways, obviously, primary roads, M roads being the main priority, and then all of those secondary roads are unfortunately going to be those last parts. But I haven't seen like an hourly type schedule of where they expect to be. I think they're trying to narrow it down to where the most trafficked areas and whatnot, which unfortunately, those that live out in the very rural areas are still going to be struggling for a while with access to and from their properties.
Thank you.
I know I did talk to Jody this morning at probably 6:30 this morning. And his main concern was Garden and Fairbanks. He says, Bark River, Ford River, they had a big truck stuck out there. And then he said, the rest of them will come soon.
They have had some breakdowns with their equipment. They've had multiple times that their big, huge graders have gotten stuck in various locations, which then takes more time and bigger equipment to come and help them out. And they've also had, I was listening to the radio traffic the other day, and a couple of their drivers were reporting that their trucks were completely turned sideways when they hit some of these drifts on some of the major roads. When the visibility became such that they could not continue to operate, they rightfully so, and I know they took some grief for it, and as far as comments, but the safety of their personnel was foremost, so.
I was gonna say, whether kudos to them in there. I know a lot of people may not realize when they actually have to bring those folks in like that for safety. If there's an emergency, whether somebody calls for fire, ambulance, whatever it is, they'll actually have, if it hasn't been plowed and it's not open, a plow will actually escort that EMS group to the individual that is in need.
And we've had those situations, and initially there was some comments or some discussion that, well, they weren't coming out for anything. That was not the case. If we had an emergency in the county and needed the response to get an ambulance into somewhere or a fire truck, we were able to do that. It's just that when the visibility was such that it was, and kudos to our first responders, they've really stepped up and had some very, very difficult decisions to make and conditions to deal with. Those search and rescue Garden Fire, NEMA Fire, and really all the fire departments, but those specifically that went out on that call the other night, it was pretty much zero visibility, and they had about 5 or 6 miles that they had to break trail and get through, and then bring that elderly subject out on the equipment that they went in, which is not the easiest thing to do, so kudos to them and all our dispatchers, and, yeah.
Where are we weak on our power right now? Like who's out where?
It's the main area, Stonington. I believe our largest number of customers belong to Alger Delta at this
Okay.
point. Cloverland and We Energies have 0 outages reported, and the other one would be UPCO, and I think UPCO was listed at maybe less than 30 or 40. But Alger Delta was struggling with those northern parts of the county and some areas into Stonington where, again, it's very rural, and the access issues. And I know that they've been in contact with our road commission as well to try to get some access into those areas. I know they had to bring in, not the road commission, but the Cloverland brought in some tracked units that they had staged around the UP, and it took a while to get them into Stonington, into Garden, but that's the only way they got back to some of these locations.
Are any counties kind of further along than we are as far as taking care of their roads? Like, is anybody like, oh, I'm all done, and could possibly offer us mutual aid, or are we all kind of in the same boat?
Well, kind of in the same boat in terms of secondary roads. I think there are counties ahead of us that got their primaries done or back into reasonable shape. To be honest, Jody's had contact with the other road commissions. I don't know what kind of support has been there, but that was one of our reasonings too, by declaring the local state of emergency. When I talked to Jody, he said, we can get there. I mean, we can get to where we need to be fixed, but not very quickly, because we're getting stuck. We have our own damages that we're fixing as we go, and so we thought, let's ask. Let's make the declaration and ask, and like you said, they can only say no. And like I said, as soon as, before the governor signed it, I had already received, and it had been in contact with MDOT before that, but they needed that authorization. But as soon as we knew that the request was coming in, MDOT reached out to both of us to try to figure out where they could help and where they could get their equipment in to help, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay.
And thank you over the weekend.
Yep.
Do you need 2 separate?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So we need a motion on this?
2 separate.
And if we could get a roll call vote on both of them, please.
Okay.
I would move that we adopt the declaration of a state of emergency for the winter storm, March 2026.
Support?
Okay. Any more discussion on this? Roll call?
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes,
Vankenhoven?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
And Melner.
Yes. Okay, the request of Governor State of Emergency Winter Storm, March 2026.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any discussion? You want a roll call on this too?
Yes, please.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Williams?
yes,
Vankenhoven?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Milner?
Yep.
And Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, general public comment. General public comment, seeing none? Is there anything on the phone? No. Okay, we will move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Kelly.
Yes, I'd just like to thank, as Administrator DeSalvo did earlier, all of the county employees, the City of Escanaba, City of Gladstone, Michigan, State Police, all those involved with the winter storm over the last few days. There is on the City of Escanaba Facebook page a detailed list of the Public Works schedule for clearing out the alleyways, the side roads, things of that nature. So if you're able to, please go on and see. I just ask that people have patience. because even if plows were to come through, there's nowhere to plow it to, so they're gonna be bringing in trucks and actually loading it out, so it is gonna take several days, so please have patience. Secondly, I took part in the MAC NRAT committee meeting, Environmental, Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Tourism Committee. That was on the 13th, and we reviewed several pieces of legislation having pertaining to do with the drain code, the septic code, and then also some dam safety legislation. So those are some interesting things. Our meeting ran for about an hour and a half, and it was very nice. Our opioid task force is coming along with our May 1st gathering. I'd like to thank Commissioner Williams. She really spearheaded this event, and I'm looking forward to participating in it and getting other counties up to speed with how we have been able to be successful over the last 2 years. And lastly, we will have another opioid task force opening because our public health director is retiring. I'm so sad, but I wish him the best of luck. He is done April 1st, I believe. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, on top of what Commissioner Vangenhoven said, really appreciate all the first responders, all of the emergency personnel, but also noticing neighbor helping neighbor. That was really nice to see. In emergencies, I think Delta County does it really well, where you can see somebody helping their fellow neighbor and not really needing anything in return, just glad to be there. So thank you for all the neighbors.
Commissioner Jensen.
Yeah, first part, we've thanked everybody that we can possibly thank yet, and I would love to do that again. Our maintenance crew, in the time that they had over the course of the storm, they're not very big. Same thing with our team at the airport. They're not very large. And granted, they work together. It's an all hands on deck when we have something like this happen in the county. But for the small amount of individuals that actually moved, like you see outside the buildings, was more than just a daunting task, and they more than rose to the occasion. I know one of them prior to coming in was still actually moving snow around to make it easier. So, big kudos to our folks across the board. One of the things is, I guess the easiest way to put it is, and Commissioner Johnson hit the nail on the head, if you go about in the community and look around at all today and over the next few days, you're going to still see people helping each other out. And that's a big testament to our community. Not just how resilient our community is and how quickly we bounce back, but having seen a report that said it would take weeks for the area to bounce back. And I'm kind of like, okay, so we have 1-lane roads in some areas right now. I think our population just kind of takes that in stride. Yes, there's a little frustration here and there, but people can get out. They can, they'll be going to work tomorrow. Some went to work today. So, big kudos to our citizens here in Delta County.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, ditto to everyone, what everyone has said thus far, and I'm out in Ford River, and I was very thankful to see the plow go by, and it is just a 1-lane road right now, and so I would just ask folks to slow down when they're on those 1-lane roads, and they're very passable with 2 vehicles, but it's still a dangerous situation, but I think everyone has done a fantastic job trying to keep up with what we experienced here. And thank you very much to everyone who has helped each other out. And I appreciate your comment, Commissioner Johnson, about neighbors helping neighbors. It really does take a village to survive and thrive in situations like what we experienced. So, thank you to everybody.
Okay. Ditto again. Only people in the UP can do this, and we're all strong, and we've come back fast. Last night I was probably on the phone after, started about 9:45 until about 10:30 with phone calls, texts, messages, and I was on the phone with Paul probably twice last night, around 10:30. We got some things handled, and I was on the phone again this morning at 6:30 with Jody and that, so all in all, it all come out in the wash, and we succeeded, so thank you all. Okay, let's see, meeting schedule, finance meeting on 3/19 at 9 o'clock at the courthouse, room 222. And another finance meeting on 3/26/26 at 9 o'clock in the morning, courthouse, room
Actually,
220.
that one's canceled.
That's canceled.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
canceled?
Yeah.
That one's not a go.
Okay. B is canceled then? Okay, finance meeting, 4/2/26 at 9 AM courthouse, room 222. And a regular board meeting of commissioners, 4/7 at 5:15 right here at the Service Center. And we are having a statutory board of commissioners on 4/14 at 5:15 here at the Service Center. 30-day notices of appointments, there's an opening, the Department of Human Resources, one, Human Services, one state and one county. And then, Building Authority, Brownfield Redevelopment, and Opioid Task Force. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
A quick question.
I was trying to get that to your road.
Didn't fall asleep, but.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, John.